Hi Fast Track Poly friends! I was inspired to do this video because I realized through my engagements that many people knows logically the difference between using their CPF or cash for their housing payments. But they did not really understand how the money flows and what were the advantages and disadvantages of each method. So today, I'm going to try my best to showcase this through a simple financial statement, which I hope in turn will be easier for all of you to understand. But before I start, as this is a personal finance and wealth creation channel, I thought it would make some sense for me to share with you some personal news. It was just last week I received news of an old schoolmate. We have not met for more than 20 years, but during our schooling days, he was seated next to me, so we connected. I was shocked to receive news of his passing at the age of 40. Leaving behind his wife, who is a homemaker, and 4 young children. I was then horrified when I asked, and I was told that he did not have any insurance. I did not imagine how they are going to pick up the pieces and get their life back on track. His wife will most probably have to return to work after many years of not working. How then to support the many enrichment classes and the school for her children in future? How much privilege and readjustments they will have to go through? Because the truth is, it doesn't matter how much money or more money you can make, or how much more your investments can make you, if you have failed to first protect. And in this digital age, how can you not be aware of the importance of protection? When for the longest time since history, mankind has always sought some way to ascertain some control of our destiny, right? But especially now with the virus, where up is down, sunset is sunrise, the healthy are sick, we are grabbing at straws. We are still trying to figure it out. We can't control shit, isn't it? But what we can manage at least to control is our risk and exposure. For the guys, there is no excuse. You pay pennies on the dollar for the group insurance with Mindef. If I can remember what I bought, right, I'm paying like 400 plus per person each for $1 million coverage for me and my wife, right? 1 million each. And therefore, I think you can definitely set aside $40 a month, isn't it? Yeah? So my wish is actually for all of you who are listening to this, please share it with your friends. And if you hear anyone telling you how much they have made from their investments, ask them if they have gotten any protection for their family. Right? Thank you for doing that. Alright? Let us now go into the video proper. So you can see this is the Mr. and Mrs. Lee wealth model. I've created this as financial statement. We have separated it into the top column, the income, the expenses, liabilities, and asset at the bottom. Okay? So as an example, we have a 8,000 salary here. They earn under earned income. You have a CPF also under earned income of 2,589, and of course they have their various expenses. Food and entertainment of $3,000, parents' allowance of $1,000, alright, and insurance of $1,000. And after the end of the month, the balance will be then moved towards your assets, right, which would be your CPF and your cash. And whatever that is left in your assets will then generate you passive income. And for your CPF of 2,589, it will generate you $64.70 per month. Okay, so generally this is what most of us would have in our financial statement. Alright, now Mr. and Mrs. Lee would then go to the mall, alright, and when they walk past, they might look at the brand new OSIM Dream chair, isn't it? Alright, the salesperson would have brought them there, let them try on the chair, and they would have loved it so much, and they asked, how much does it cost? And they will realize that it will cost them $5,040, and which is money they do not have because their asset column only holds $3,000. And because it is so commercialized and everyone is making all of us it's so easy to buy things now, the salesperson will offer them a 36 months installment plan, isn't it? Alright? Why do you have to pay $5,000 today when you can pay only $140 for the next 36 months?
Oh,
Okay?
yeah!
Now, obviously, sign, move on, right? So now this is how their financial statement will look like. You have your OSIM chair of 5040 36 months, of which now your OSIM chair under expenses, this is the liabilities, you'll push off under expenses of $140. Yep. This will then in turn you realize bring down your net cash assets to 2860. Okay, make sense? Now this is just an example, letting you know that if you buy a liability, then there will be expenses to be paid. Okay, but just be careful about this small amount because the truth is that an accumulation of small amounts is going to eat into your assets. All right, so try to be careful, though it's very tempting to pay a small amount for a very large purchase. Okay. Now over the years, you realize that Mr. and Mrs. Lee has accumulated a total of $230,000 in their CPF, and now they have cash $80,000. And assuming everything is the same, you realize that the $230,000 you see under assets is actually building up in their passive income, right? Every year they are making 5750 in passive income for their CPF. Okay? And they decided to buy a property. Right? They will buy a 1 million property, they will take on a housing loan of $750,000. Right? This is for 360 months, which equates to 30 years. Yep. Now this amount would then translate to a monthly mortgage of 2589. Right? So I just use something simple in the CPF and the mortgage for easy calculation. Okay? But do note that it is different for different income, right? Now, as you can see, what they did, because they needed to have the down payment for this property, they have actually moved and transferred their asset of 330 into the liabilities column. Can you see that? Right? And after that, what happens is that they do not have any more passive income. In fact, this amount now has been translated into your expense column. Okay? So this is what normally it does when you first buy a property. You actually took away your passive income side and you put into expenses because guess what? You now have to pay for this. But this is understandable because a lot of us will be very dependent on our CPF assets to buy our first property. Okay? Now, let me just show you the traditional model. The traditional model is we do this, all right, this is like, again, I say I can accept it because this is what most of us will actually do by pushing off our CPF assets into the liabilities, all right. Now, the thing that differs would be the traditional model is whenever money that comes in every month in the CPF, when it's pushed off to the asset, a lot of us choose to make payments into our housing loan, all right, okay. And with that, because you use this payment, you actually increase your CPF expenses by an additional $777 a year. Okay, how I get this amount is because now let's talk about a year. In 1 year, all right, you have actually used $31,000 from your assets or CPF every month. When it comes in, it's being pushed out. When it comes in, being pushed out. All right, you actually accumulate your CPF liabilities of $31,000 and also increase your CPF expense interest by 777, giving a total of 6527. Now, let me give an example how I see this, right? It is like as if you're having two loans. You have A loan, which is a housing loan, and you have a B loan, which is your CPF. And what you're doing is borrowing from CPF to pay off your A loan, because you are still going to owe, and then you have to pay interest on the bank B. All right, if I put this as bank A and bank B, does it make sense to you? All right, so this is the traditional model. All right, and in total, at the end of just the first year, guys, your bank B or your CPF, okay, account, you will then owe them liabilities of 261,068. And do understand that moving forward, this will continue to grow and this will continue to compound, adding on to the liabilities. Okay, now let me introduce you what I call the fast track property model. All right. Everything again being the same. Here you have, instead of using CPF, you actually use cash to pay the mortgage of 2589. All right. And this is there. You can't change at the moment. It's 5750. The difference is that every month when your CPF comes into your asset class, all right, when you leave it there, immediately you are working on your income column, the passive income, where you're being paid $64.70. Okay, and in 1 year, by just doing this method, all right, your asset column will have increased by $31,000, 068, and after a year, you've increased this passive income by 777. All right, so this would be the recommended way, right? I'll ask all of you to work towards that if you see whether it makes sense to you, right? But here I will introduce you what I call the enhanced fast track property model, right? Why enhanced? Because all of us, we are working for someone, we can always look forward to our 13-month bonus, right? So you have a 13-month bonus here is being pushed off to your asset class, right? Your asset column, sorry, and then you increase your 30K to 40K now. I will then ask you to do a 20K reduction to your CPF account. To me, like Bank B, right? You have borrowed from Bank A, now you got to pay back Bank B too. When you bring this down by $20,000, what happens is that immediately you will see a change. Your expenses column drops by $500, okay, under your CPF interest. Your liabilities drop by $20,000, and this $20,000 is then transferred into your asset column. That increases your assets now from 31 to 51,068, and immediately it will translate to an increase of your passive income here of 1,277 per year. All right, so you imagine if you do this 5 to 10 years, you will see that your financial statement will be very, very different compared to the traditional method. Okay, now let's talk about where does all the money flow, okay, and why I'll recommend this model. When your money comes in, 2589 in the account, we're talking about 1 year, right? And you push this money of 31,000 into your housing loan, what you will gain back in equity, is 20K. Can you see that? It drops from 750 when you make your payments, it will drop to 730. So this is Bank A, right? But what happens is that in Bank B, there's an increase of 31,000. And at the same time, there's an increase of $777. Okay? So in summary, if I could say it very simply, you have come out 31,000, which is not, I wouldn't say like it's your money, right? It's a money that you still have to repay back from your CPF account. It's like a borrowed money to me, okay? You have to return interest on the amount that you have borrowed. Make sense? But you have built your equity of $20,000. So your net loss in that particular year, for the first year, is $11,845. Can you see that? Yeah? Okay? So let me just show you when I put everything side by side. Alright, so this is a side by side to just show you your traditional model and the enhanced fast track property model, right? Okay. If you continue to do the traditional model, what's going to happen is that you're going to realize that these two components, which is your CPF interest and your liabilities column, will continue to increase at a compounding effect. All right, do understand this is a compounded effect. All right, that's how CPF platform works. But if you start to work on this side, all right, you realize that every year your asset and your passive income will keep increasing. All right,
yeah.
and every year your liabilities and expenses will keep decreasing. Okay, so with that, you got to ask yourself which one makes more sense. Okay? Now, a lot of us, when they look at this, will then have the main argument, right? Is that, but it's my money. I can always use that 31,000 or the monies that I have used from my CPF to do my own investments. And they will definitely make minimum 2.5%. Why do I want to have my money locked up in that, right? So these are two things I would like to address. The first thing is that in Mandarin, 你的心态, all right, meaning your personality for you and your wife. Do you have the discipline? Number one. A lot of us, you have used from Bank B, which is your CPF, you draw down 31,000 to use for your housing, but you only invest a portion of it, which is your cash, 10,000 or even 15,000. And some months or 1 or 2 years you skip it because you want to pamper yourself. Does it make sense? If you really want to do that, it will only make sense that if you're going to draw down 31,000 from your CPF account, make sure you invest with the same amount of 31,000 and you balance out. Make sense? Alright? But you must continue to work even harder because you have to remember you have a $230,000 that is there in the principal, right? The first day. Then you have to work to also reduce that amount. And this is just for $1 million. Today, with the rising property prices, people are buying properties at $1.5 to $2 million. More CPF is being stuck inside there. You have to account for that, right? So you understand how the spreadsheet works. On the second note, I would then ask you to consider this. If you're going to draw down from a CPF account that is giving you a risk-free asset at 2.5% compounding, right? Make sure at least you cannot make 3, 4, or 5%. Challenge yourself to make at least 6 to 8% on the money that you're drawing out. Alright? Then to me, that will make more sense. And you got to make sure that it is being accounted for correctly, not having some cheat years, okay? Alright? So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. It makes some sense. I did it a little bit different from my other videos, right? A bit more visual for people who like it to be a bit more visual, okay? So, but if you have any comments that you felt that it doesn't make sense or you have some questions, please leave it in the comments below and I will address them. Alright, so from that, I'd like to thank you all for watching, right? And I hope to speak to all of you next 2 weeks. Bye.